Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review on the album For All Eternity by Morta Skuld. Now, before I get into the songs, I'm going to name off the band members really quick. Also, I have to look at their second album for the credits because for some reason on their third album there are no band member credits. Anyway, so the band members are Dave Greger on vocals and guitar, Jason O'Connell on guitar, Kent Truckenborg on drums, and Jason Hillman on bass. Alright. So, the album starts off with the song Bitter Remembrance. Very, very, very good song. Is it the perfect song to start off the album? No, but it's, it works, I guess. But yeah, as a song itself, it's really good. The second song is called Justify. This one's also really good. The third song is called Second Thought. Now, this one's pretty interesting because this is one of the very few songs on the album where, out of nowhere, there comes this, sort of soft spoken word bit. It's very short, but yeah, it's in the song. It doesn't feel out of place. It kind of works. The fourth song is called Crawl Inside. This one's really cool. It starts off with a sort of a mellow guitar riff, very mellow, very calm, and then it, quickly goes into the main part of the song, and yeah, it's very cool. I love that opening to the song. And track number 5 is called For All Eternity. It's the title track. Also really good. Yeah, just another really good song. The next track, track 6, Tears of a Fallen Race, another great one. Track number 7, The Bleeding Heart, also very good. Now these next 3 tracks are probably my favorite tracks on the album. Burning Daylight, very good, catchy guitar riff, great solo. Same thing with the next track, The Vicious Circle, another great one, stands out and it's really, really good. And then the last track is Germ Farm, another great one. So the reason why I didn't really go into detail with the songs on this particular album is because this has a lot, it has a lot in common with their first album, Dying Remains. It feels like a natural continuation of that album. So it does have pretty much this, for the most part, the same sound and style as their first one. It's just a tiny bit heavier, maybe a little bit, more, slightly more polished production, but yeah, it's pretty much, again, a continuation of their first album, even though this is their third and not their second. Yeah, it's another really cool, almost doom metal type album. Although there is one distinct difference between their first album and this one. With their first album very much, at times sounds like, Severed Survival by Autopsy. Whereas this one, even though it has the same, sound and style as their first album for the most part, at times, on certain songs on here, it kind of sounds like, Gateways to Annihilation by Morbid Angel. Now, with the first album, it sounding like, Severed Survival kind of makes sense, considering Severed Survival came out a little bit, before that album, a few years before that album, so maybe they took inspiration from that album, for the first album. Whereas this came out years before, Gateways to Annihilation. But I wouldn't be surprised if, when making Gateways to Annihilation, Morbid Angel got some inspiration from this album, perhaps. But yeah, it has, a lot of stuff and similarities with their first album, but also, adds some new elements in there as well. Now, something I didn't mention when reviewing their first album, the vocal style, the death metal vocal style that Dave Greger does on these albums, has a lot in common with the vocal style that Cam Lee did on the first, Massacre album, which actually makes a whole lot of sense considering Cam Lee is a fan of this band and I guess took inspiration in terms of the vocals for, the first Massacre album. Now, for those of you who are saying, wait, Morta Skuld released their first album in 93, but, Massacre released their first album in 91. Well, that is the case. Actually, just like with Massacre, the band had been around quite a while before releasing their first album. And the same thing with Massacre, there were a lot of demos, and in terms of Massacre, there were a lot of demos released with not Morbid Angel, Morta Skuld. There were a lot of demos and a couple of EPs as well released before their first album, so they technically were around quite a while before their first album was released. Again, same thing with Massacre. So yeah, there was a lot of in terms of the vocals influence by Dave Greger's vocals in Morta Skuld. Sorry, getting off topic, but yeah, I absolutely love this album. Now, before my final thoughts on the rating, I want to talk about the artwork for a second. The artwork, even though it's really, really good, it doesn't really fit for a death metal album. Like, okay, here's a weird thing about, Morta Skuld's album artworks. Other than the artwork for their first album and their two newest albums, the rest of the album artworks for the rest of the albums don't really fit for death metal. This and quite a few of their other album artworks feel more like artworks that would be on like a prog metal album rather than, a death metal album. But yeah, very good artwork, just doesn't quite fit with death metal for some reason they went with this, but whatever. I mean, at least it's a lot better artwork than Surface. The artwork for Surface, that album was just, bland as hell. But yeah. So, as for my rating of this album, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's a great listen all the way through. There's not really any songs that drag this album or anything, and yeah, I think it's a perfect album. 10 out of 10. Definitely check this one out. If you're going to check out any Morta Skuld album, this is the one to check out. Or Dying Remains, that one's a good one too. But yeah. So, that's about it for this review in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.